Good morning. So let's start our today's session. Yesterday we have discussed about data lake systems. We also discussed about the advanced data analytics, right? So how we actually do advanced data analytics. Okay. So today we will jump into the SQL concepts. We will understand what is a database. We will understand how it will work. Okay. And then we will see the SQL statements, few SQL statements. Okay. So that's what the agenda for us today. So before going to the SQL, I just want you to tell me. So what is a database? Need your answers. What is a database, guys?
Uh, it's a software uh, that enables this storage in manipulating the data and the collection of the data.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you so much, Sai. Yeah, so as Sai said, database is a software which ensures to store, manage, manipulate our data. Okay, so to store, manage, manipulate our data, database also needs to communicate with us, needs to communicate with applications, needs to communicate with users, right? So let me share my screen. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so today we will see what is a database, what is SQL, and how to set up our database environment, right? And how to start talking to our database, right? So in a typical data world, all your data from all your web applications will be stored in database systems. Okay, a database is a software which will store, manage, and manipulate your data. Okay, to do all these three important things, database needs to communicate with web applications, database needs to communicate with users, right? So then only, as per the ask by users or web application, this software can react. Okay, so this software has been developed in such a way that according to the ask by web application or user or any kind of external application, whatever it is, according to the ask, give response. That's how this software is designed. Okay, so now this software also needs one language to communicate with different platforms. Okay, so that language we call it as SQL. Okay, structured query language. Okay, the only language which can be used to communicate with the database management systems. Okay, so the only language that we can use to communicate with the database software. According to the DBMS principles, any database that got manufactured in the world should support SQL. Okay, so it is applicable only for the RDBMS systems. Be very clear. It is applicable only for the relational database management systems. Okay, there are few advanced databases also which are no SQL databases, no SQL databases. There you don't need SQL. you need a different language to communicate with that kind of a databases. Those are typical big data based databases. Okay, the database software that we are talking about is a typical OLTP software. Okay, OLTP software or OLAP software. Okay, so now we know what is a database. Okay, and we know what is a SQL, right? Now, how to install and set up my database software? This is one thing that you need to understand. Okay, so hope everybody have your laptops ready with you. Okay, so I and in our sessions we are going to discuss about SQL server. Okay, so we are going to discuss Microsoft SQL server database. This is the database that I selected for our sessions. Okay, and we have different databases, guys. Okay, we have MySQL, we have Oracle, we have Teradata. It's a DWH anyway. Okay, and we have Postgres. Okay, so these are all different relational databases. We have SAP HANA, right? So the same systems also you can utilize as data warehouse, but you need to buy a different license altogether, and pricing tier will be different if you are using them for a data warehouse purpose. If you are using for the OLTP purpose, it's a different use case. If it is for the OLAP purpose, it's a different use case. Okay, you need to understand these differences, guys. So MS SQL Server DB, I have selected this DB because in real time you will see most of the database systems will be of MS SQL Server type. Okay, so I cannot say remaining databases won't be there, but yes, they'll be there. But majority of the share goes to MS SQL Server database. Okay, so and I can simply take MySQL also, but in real time no one use MySQL because it's a open source platform. But if anybody wants to use enterprise version of MySQL, they need to buy license. Okay, so few projects, very minimal things can be done with MySQL. Okay, so majority of the times in real times you will see all these databases. Okay, in real time projects, but we are taking MS SQL Server DB for our sessions to understand. But any DB you take, okay, but it is from a different company with different features. That's it. But all the databases should support SQL. Okay, be very clear on that front. Okay, for our sessions purpose, we are going with MS SQL Server DB, Microsoft SQL Server DB, which was developed by Microsoft. Okay, as I told you, this is the software. Okay, it's a software package, so it got developed by Microsoft. Okay. Similarly, MySQL and Oracle are developed by Oracle company. Teradata is developed by Teradata company, and PostgreSQL. I don't know who developed this database, but SAP HANA is developed by SAP company itself. Okay. So this is the different databases that we have out there. Okay, in the real world. So now let us understand this MS SQL Server DB. Okay, so now, so we have a software package. Okay, step one, what we need to do, we need to download this package. Download. Okay, and then install in our local systems. Okay. So while installing, you need to set up your username and password. Okay. So for that, what you need to do, you can explore, guys. So you'll find very easy, content to install. You just type SQL Server installation. Okay. See here, it directly routed me to SQL Server downloads. Just click on it. Okay, here if you see try SQL Server on premise or in cloud, you can download SQL Server on Azure, SQL Server at the edge, SQL Server on premises. Okay, on premise means our local systems or any kind of a physical server. Okay, Azure means it will be taken care by Microsoft. Okay, so now here if you see SQL Server on premise, you have to download. Okay, once you click on download, it will ask for your details. Okay, it will ask for your details. Register for free trial today. So here if you see, you need to give all your details. Okay, and then download. Okay, so it will download a support file. Okay, it won't download direct database software. Here if you see, it will download a setup file. See here, which is of 4 MB. Okay, then you need to double click on it. Okay, you need to double click on it. It will take you to the installation page. Okay, here if you see, you can take the basic, custom, and okay, you can choose any one of these, basic or custom. I'm going with custom. Okay, this is the location that I need to keep, or this is the location that software needs to install its files, right? So you need to give all, you don't need to give, it will automatically take it. Okay, once you click on install, it will start downloading all the libraries from the Microsoft site. Okay, so once it downloaded, it will give you a installation page. Okay, so I request you, because I already installed, I cannot install again. So I request you to set up your local environments with SQL Server database installed by tomorrow. Okay, so you have to install your SQL Server database in your personal laptops by tomorrow. Okay, you try to explore, you just go to YouTube and try to search install SQL Server 2022. It's just a version name. Okay, 2022 in laptop. You just search it. You will find different links. Okay, different links. So just try to follow any one of link and try to install your SQL Server. Are you with me, guys? Any questions still here?
No.
No.
Okay. So once you installed your database, Microsoft is providing a very good plugin for our database. Okay. So that is something that we call it as SSMS. Okay, so this plugin is very important, guys. Once you installed and configured your database in your personal laptop with these three steps, okay, then you need to download and install SSMS software. Okay, this is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so what is this SSMS? This is a plugin software by using which you can get the user interface to communicate with your DB. Okay, so what is that user interface? How it will be? I will show you. Okay, but Remember, you by tomorrow you have to install and configure your SQL Server database in all your personal laptops. Okay, and you also have to install SQL Server Management Studio. If you see here, this is the setup file that you will get. This will also be there in Microsoft website. Okay, and this is the setup file. Once you got it, once you click down install, so it will get installed in your system. Okay, so once you installed both, right? So you just go to your search bar and type SSMS. See here, SQL Server Management Studio 20. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Prakati?
No,
Yeah. Any questions, Prakati?
no, Vinky.
Okay. Okay, fine. So this is the software that you need to install. So once you installed both, okay, you just search SSMS here in search bar, SQL Server Management Studio you got, okay, and then click on it. So it will open the SQL Server Management Studio app. Okay, so it is getting opened. So once it got opened, see here, this is such a very good, SQL based user interface provided by Microsoft. So this is something that you know you can start using so that you'll get that real time project kind of a feel, right? So this is where I actually have my already database software installed. So your SSMS will automatically detect your database software that is there. Okay, and the server name where the database is running. Okay, and the authentication mechanism, the login and password, it will automatically detect. Okay, and then if you click on connect, so your SSMS web UI is trying to connect to your database server that is installed in your local laptop. Okay, so two things, guys. One is SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, is a web application or a UI application or a plugin application which will be given for a typical user interface or for the development of your SQL programming. Okay, but there should be a database engine that will be running in your laptop or in a different server. Even if you enter into the real time projects, you need to install your SSMS in your local system. Okay, and then from the project space, you will get all your database engine configurations, the server name, the username, the password, everything you will get. Okay, so from the SSMS only you need to connect to that server. That is how in real time project you will do. But here what we are doing, we installed database engine in our laptops only, and we are trying to connect to those database server by using SSMS. Okay, so this is the purpose of why actually we are using these tools. Okay, so this SSMS also can be used to connect to a database that is there in the remote location. Okay, the only things that it needs is these things, right? So it needs the server name, okay, and it needs the authentication type and username, password, right? So these are the things that it needs. So once you give these things, it will go and connect to that respective server. Okay, so in real time what will happen, our database servers will be located in a remote location. Okay, because The remote location meaning wherever your project hardware data center is there. Okay, wherever your project hardware data center is there, in the remote location, your entire hardware will be set up. Okay, so what they will do, they will buy a server, and in this server meaning it's a machine, guys, like our laptops. It's a machine which is having very huge configuration, connected with very high bandwidth internet or network configuration. Okay, so a server will be brought, and then in the server they will install this database software. Once they install the database software, they will enable the firewall connectivity, because in real time it is more secure, guys. It is not like our local systems directly go and connect. Okay, it is a different process altogether. That process I'm trying to explain. So in real time you will be having a dedicated server to for the database systems. So that's inside that server, database admins will install the database software. Okay, and they will enable the firewall to the application and users. This firewall is a security mechanism. Who needs to access, which IP needs to access my database? All these things they can configure. Okay. So once they set up the database, once they enable the connection to application, once application got productionized, then application will start ingesting or storing or manipulating the data in the database. So now the data is getting generated in the database software. So it will keep on accumulating, or it will keep on adding the data to the database system, right? So everything will start from there. Now as a data engineer, you need to go and connect and see what is there in the database, and execute some ask some things to the database, so that you'll get some understanding what are the columns present in the table, how the data is stored in the table, so what are the attributes that you need to extract, right? So all these things you can go and check by connecting to that database, right? So these are the some basic minimal things that we'll do in a typical data engineering work, right? So for that, what we will do is we will install and set up this SQL server. Okay, so and then we will try to connect to the database. So you need to check what is the database, whether if it is a Oracle, this SSMS won't work. Be very very clear. Okay, so if it is a Oracle, you need to use SQL developer. Okay, if it is a Oracle database, you need to use SQL developer. This is a plugin service or a software that is provided by the Oracle company. Okay, if it is a PostgreSQL, you need to use PG admin. It's a plugin for Postgres database. Okay. Similarly, uh, for a MySQL database, you need to use Workbench. Okay. This is a database that this is a plugin software that can be utilized for the MySQL. Okay. For Postgres, we use pgadmin, and for Oracle, we use SQL developer. Okay, keep these things in mind, guys. I mean, all of a sudden, if you when we work in a project space, you need to ask questions to the people that are there in the team, right? So they, as a experienced person, you have to know all these things. Okay, if you are a fresher, that is absolutely fine. People will come to you and teach you and coach you and train you. They'll give you a spoon feeding for you if you are a fresher. But if you are an experienced person, people will expect things from you. Okay, in a typical team, people will expect things from you. Okay, so when they are expecting, they may feel that we know everything, right? So in that scenario, you have to be aware that, okay, so if it is a Oracle database, our source is Oracle database, then I have to install SQL developer in my in my laptop to connect to the Oracle database. If it is a Postgres, I have to install pgadmin. If it is a MySQL, I have to install workbench. This kind of thought process you have to build. Okay, otherwise what will happen, if you go to the real time project, and if your team lead is saying, hey, Venkat, we have a SQL server database as our source system where the OLTP data is there, you need to build a data pipeline for it. Okay, okay, so prepare your laptop and come tomorrow, we will try to set up the data pipeline. Then you come back, and he said MS SQL server, you installed SQL developer in your laptop and then went. Okay, then your team lead went to a meeting room, and then along with your team lead, he asked you to share your screen and start looking at the table structures. You opened SQL developer, see how much, what is the impression that you will get in front of your team lead, right? So these are all real time cases, guys. For me, I can simply go and install SSMS and then start digging to SQL, but I want you to build this mindset. So in real time, when you are going as an experienced person, it is important to understand what are the different competitors for anything that we are learning, right? So this is the the history of how actually we connect to a database, right? So we use a different plugin software to connect to a database in real time projects. Okay, we also use command line based uh, uh, connectivity, but that is very minimal. Okay, so majority of the times we use these plugin softwares only because these are most flexible and comfortable to write our SQL programming. Okay, so now we know how to connect to a database. Okay, the installation process you can explore and do because it will take a lot of time. It will take half an hour to 1 hour at least to install this database software in your laptop. So that is why I installed it before itself, and I'm just explaining how you can do this. Okay, so now we install the database software. We install the plugin software also to connect to the database and start playing with the database software. Okay. So now I connected to my database system. So here, if you see, you are getting some inbuilt system directories. Okay. So these are all database related files. You don't need to touch them. The thing that you need to show interest is databases. Click on the databases. Okay, inside the databases you have different databases that are available. Okay, so let me tell you the storage structure in the database. Okay, the storage structure. So this software has two or three main components, guys. Okay, this database, sorry, this database software. Okay, so this is a software we know. Okay, this is a software, and what is the architecture of this software, right? So you'll be having a database engine. Okay, and you'll be having a storage layer, and you'll be having authentication layer. Okay, so now understand, in your database you'll be having a dedicated service that is running to run your program. Okay, to run your statements, to run your SQL statements, there will be a dedicated database engine which will take care of execution of or checking the syntax execution of your query. Execution of your request, I can say query, I'll explain it later. Okay, so database engine, and then storage layer is responsible for storing all your data, right? So storing all the data. And authentication layer is very very important. In the first place itself, we know we have to authenticate ourselves with the username and password to any kind of a database. Otherwise it is not possible to connect to a database system. Okay, so for any kind of a database, it is mandate that we have to log in with proper credentials. Okay, so this authentication layer is always will check the access permissions for you. Okay, so now we know when we install the database software, we'll get all these things. Okay, this database engine and the storage layer and then authentication layer. The similar thing when it comes to storage layer, when it comes to storage layer, I want you to explain. I want to explain the structure of it, right? So first and foremost step, you need to create a database. Okay, so we know what is a database, right? So database is a software to store, manipulate, and manage the data. But once you installed your database software, inside the software to store your data, you need to create a database object. Okay, now relate the things, guys. A object is something that is a real world entity, right? So now the virtual purpose that we have seen, it will store, manipulate, manage the data. The virtual purpose that we know what is a database, and we are assuming that it will do these things. But to do them in the real world, we have to create an object for it. Correct? So that is what we do first. We do create a database object. Okay, now we have the database object ready. Create a database. We create the database. Inside the database, the data will be stored in the form of tables. Be very very clear, the data will be stored in the form of tables. We create the database. Inside the database, we create the tables. Okay, so these tables are the real world objects or entities to create or to store the data in the form of rows and columns. Okay, this database is an object which is a collection of different table objects. Okay, database also provides features like schema classification. Okay, so you may be hearing a term called schema. Okay, inside the database we maintain schemas, different schemas. Okay, we maintain different schemas. Under schema we actually place tables. Let us say I have a database called retail. Okay, I have a database called retail, and I have three schema layers in this retail. Okay, one is stage schema, another one is target schema, another one is cube schema. Okay, see here in stage layer I have table 1, table 2, table 3. Okay, and in the target schema I have different tables. In the cube schema I have final table. Okay, these schemas are depending on the functionality. Be very very clear. It most of the times it is not only be stage. Okay, it can be like products schema. Inside the products schema, you will see all the tables that are related to products. Okay, let us say product underscore information. Okay, this is one table. Product underscore pricing, this is another table. Okay, similarly product underscore detail, this is another table, right? So under products schema, you are keeping all your product related tables. That is the importance of your schema. Okay, schema means it's a functional segregation between the tables. Okay, what kind of tables needs to be sit under which umbrella, that is the segregation that we are doing. Under the database object, you have schemas. Under each schema, you will place that respective tables. Guys, are we clear? Are we clear with it? Any questions or queries?
Yes,
Clear.
yes, clear.
Okay, so now we know we have to create a database. Okay, and once we create the database object, we have to create a schema. And once we create the schema, we will create the table. So this is the structure, guys. We create the database, and then we create the schema, and then we create the tables. Tables will actually hold the data. Okay, so database and schema are to classify our data. Excuse me. Okay, so to classify our tables and to classify our data according to the domain functionality, we use database objects and schema objects. Okay, so now let's experience this. Okay, so I opened my SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, and I created my database called retail. Okay, so what is the statement that we use? Okay, to create the database, we have create statement, create database. Okay, here if you see, this is the area that you write your SQL queries. Okay, SQL statements, I can say. So create database test. Okay, this is the command. So this is the statement. You will just execute. It will give commands completed successfully, right? So when you refresh your databases, no, it is not coming. Second. Yeah, you got your database, right? So under the database, you have tables, right? So similarly, you can also create tables under the database. If you see here in the retail database, I created, sorry, I created customers table, order details table, orders table, products table. I created all these tables. Okay. Now these tables will actually hold the data. So how the data is being stored? Let us try to query our tables. See this. This is the data. Forget about all this stuff, guys. We'll come to it later. But try to understand the data storage structure. Your data is stored in the form of tables in a database, and every table will be a part of a schema. Here, if you see DBO is my schema. If you are not giving any schema when you are creating a table, then it will go to by default schema called DBO in SQL Server. DBO meaning database object. Okay. So a table is a granular storage space where our actual data will be stored. If a table is following all the set of rules declared by DBMS principles, then we call the table as an entity. Be very, very clear. Okay. Now, every table is a part of a schema, and a schema is a part of a database. This is the storage structure. A database can have multiple schemas. Each schema can have multiple tables. Be very, very clear about this relation, guys. A database can have multiple schemas. Each schema can have multiple tables. Okay. So now I think the initial introduction to the database, what is a database, what is SQL, how to set up and configure a database, how to connect to a database, how actually data will be stored in a database. All these concepts were clear. Okay. Are you with me, guys? Any questions or any confusions here?
Mm.
Okay, fine. So I want you to set up and configure your database software in your local laptops by tomorrow, because starting from tomorrow, we will start talking to our database software by using SQL. Okay, we will see different SQL statements that we have. We will see DDL statements, data definition language statements. We will see data manipulation language statements, and we also see data control language statements, right? These are the initial statements that we use in the SQL. After these statements, we will see the core functionalities behind string manipulations, column manipulations, we see case wins, we see joins, we see advanced analytics functions. Okay, let us go through our SQL curriculum. Okay, and then we will see what are all the things that we are going to discuss, right? So tomorrow our agenda is to discuss on this DDL, DML, and DCL. So people, when they set up this database SQL software, they segregated the key statements into three categories. Okay. One is data definition language statements, data manipulation language statements, data control language statements. Okay. So we will see all these statements, and then we will see select statement, which is very, very important in the SQL. What is the importance of select statement? Why we use select statement? And we see create table statements, and we see how to insert records into a table, and we also see how to update a record into the table, and we will see delete records into the from the table, and we'll experience the where clause, the importance of where clause in the SQL, and we see some like operator, different string based functions like substring, all these things, and we see group by, order by, having clauses in the SQL. Okay, and we see aggregation functions, count, min, max, average, right? And we will see date functions, how you manipulate your date related stuff, right? And we will see data integrity. That's when we jump into data integrity with constraints. What are different constraints that we have in SQL? And we see joins. Okay, and we see the advanced SQL functions. Okay, we see lead, we see lag, and then we also see row number, rank, dense rank. We have some analytical functions like roll up, cube, all these things. We also see experience those functions as well. At the moment, these are all create very confusion to you. Don't think about all these things. Step by step, we'll go. Okay. If it takes time, that's absolutely fine for me. We spend time. The end goal is to learn the concept. Okay. So these are the statements that we are going to see tomorrow. Starting from tomorrow, we will start experience our database software. Okay. So try to prepare your software in your local laptop and come back tomorrow, so that we will start writing our SQL statements. Okay. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining once again tomorrow.
Thank you, Venkat.
Thank
Yeah.
you.